Hey guys, check it out. The Antichrist Playbook by Jeff Borders is here, and we're going to do an episode with him on it. Now, before we get started, there's a launch event March 7th at 7 p.m. in Orem, Utah. If you buy tickets to the event, you get a shirt as well as a copy of the book. However, they can also be purchased separately at Plain and Precious Publishing. And anybody that goes to the wardradio.com merch store right now, I've got 4 copies of the book, okay? The first 4 people that purchase hoodies from the wardradio.com merch store are also going to get a copy of the Antichrist Playbook with their hoodie. Without any further ado, roll tape.
Be the best, you gotta beat the best.
Like, I think most people, they sense the frustration. They know the gospel is getting twisted into knots that it doesn't belong in, but we haven't received really good direction on how to combat it.
But if you don't say something, you're literally just ceding ground. If Jesus Christ is the epitome of compassion, the most compassionate thing we can do is to speak truth.
To beat the best.
Got our scripture notes up and running. All of the scriptural references used in this episode will be brought to you by scripturenotes.com. For a free trial to Scripture Notes, please visit the link in the description. So the first one we wrote down was contending or contention. Now, I love the idea of addressing contending versus contention, and it seems like you address this in your book, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Because if I have you go first.
Okay, so the accusation of being contentious has been leveled at both my wife and I before for just being truthful and honest. If one thing I've learned from my wife is you always know where you stand with her. She doesn't beat around the bush. She tries to follow the the Thomas Jefferson. I think it's Thomas Jefferson. Like, I will never say anything that I don't believe. So she's very honest with people, and I love that about her. But the problem is when you start saying things that are true, it ruffles people's feathers, and they don't like it, and then they call you unchristlike or contentious, and it immediately spits you into a spiral of shame, and you just shut down and you stop saying things. And that is not good for us as a society or us as a church. So, and I actually there's a video here from President Oaks where he talks about being contentious or being contending for the truth, because the scriptures do tell us to contend for the truth. James says it in the book of James. So how do we do that? And so if you go to that video, and it's the 4:34 mark.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah. And before I turn on, I got to get my cool on-air sign. If we're going to be putting Dallin H.
Right.
Oaks on air, I got to make sure that we got the on-air sign on. Okay, cool. So here we go. Dallin H. Oaks at 4:34. Go.
Even as we seek to be meek and to avoid contention, we must not compromise or dilute our commitment to the truths we understand.
Oh.
We must not surrender our positions or our values.
All right. Do I keep going?
That's pretty much it right there. I mean,
okay, cool.
What did he say, right? He's like, we are not supposed to dilute or give ground on our positions.
Okay.
And what are the positions of the church, right? We're talking about truth, eternal truth, and people don't like that. And so we get a lot of pushback. And people don't like it when you say things that are hurtful or come across as unchristlike, you know? So it's so easy to spin into this spiral of silence because people want to shut you down. And the video from Greg Mattson totally talks about this. So it was the next video that I loaded in there.
Okay, Greg Mattson, Dallin H. Oaks. This is awesome.
Okay.
I feel like
I know
I'm
we're not
going
supposed to have favorite apostles, but
really?
Oaks and Holland, right? They're my boys.
Oaks and Holland are your boys?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That kind of, some would consider them on two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know what it is.
One's super sweet and soft and loving, and then one's just all like, I used to be a judge.
Holland reminds me of my past as a Protestant. Like just sometimes the to hellfire and brimstone.
Wait, you used to be a Protestant, bro?
Yeah, I was a Presbyterian growing up, so I was an elder in the church when I was 16.
Oh yeah, duh. I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about that.
I was going to be a pastor, and so there's something about him that just reminds me of my past. So
all
like
right,
that
okay,
guy.
yeah. Old
So,
habits die hard.
that's
baby.
right.
Old
It's hard to
habits die
break.
hard. Okay, so here's Greg Madsen on an episode. Oh, Midnight Mormons, beloved Midnight Mormons.
Beloved.
Who are those guys?
Look at those handsome devils.
Yeah. So here we go.
I mean, here's where the issues are really going to start coming. You either act now, or you cede more ground, and then you have to act even more down the road. This is what's happening in your Sunday school class, in your fast and testimony meetings, in your elders quorum, in religious society, in young women's especially, where you get more and more of this identitarianism, LGBTQ issues, and pride flag, and critical race theory, and all anti-racism. All these things are starting to enter into the church at the stake and especially the ward levels. And the issue is if you continue to cede ground on this culturally within your own surroundings, then we're all in trouble. You can be very respectful as you speak up and step out of the spiral of silence. But
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, here,
Oh, but you've got to. I interrupted.
you've
Sorry.
got to
go
speak
ahead.
up.
Okay, but you've got to speak up.
You've
Yes.
got to speak up, because if you don't, where they keep pushing the boundaries or shifting the Overton window just a little bit. And that's a big term, but what is the next step? What is the next step? How far can I push this? And if you don't say anything, who will?
Okay.
Who will say something?
True. So I assume this has happened. I think this has happened to all of us.
Absolutely.
Where right now, we call it oftentimes on this show niceness culture. You always have to be careful. Just as Jonah Barnes and Brad Whitbeck have said, you have to be careful about letting the outward culture creep in to your faith, right? And inform your faith. Instead of your faith informing your culture informing your faith. And right now we just live under this North American suburban niceness culture, where as long as one thing is leveraged as nicer than another, nicer wins. Well, chemotherapy's not nice. You could never cure cancer if that's the only thing that's going to work.
Most of the medicines, I work in the medical field, most of the medicines we give are not nice to the body.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
They're not great. So.
Exercise sucks.
Oh,
you could
absolutely.
niceness culture yourself out of training for a marathon or trying to do anything difficult in this life. And the truth is, Jesus Christ, yes, though he's extremely kind and he was the healer, he was also the ultimate example of discipleship to his Father in heaven.
Absolutely.
So if we are really trying to be Christ-like, we need to be simultaneously extremely forgiving of others, but also extremely disciplined in how we handle ourselves and our doctrine and so on and so forth. So, okay. So I think what it is though is, so you have to contend for the faith without contending. I don't feel like we've been given a good line though. Like, I don't think we've been given really good direction on this. And I got to tell you, if my elders quorum has to choose another conference talk to be the subject of a freaking elders quorum, we've done the more peacemakers needed, which is so leveraged by the woke scolds and
Absolutely.
the social progressives to be twisted into, if you don't support my views on gay marriage, LGBTQ issues, communism, socialism, all of the above,
Absolutely.
then you are a bad, un-Christ-like person, because nothing screams Christ-like love more than communism, and so it's like, yeah, if I have that happen to me again, like I think most people, they sense the frustration, they know the gospel is getting twisted into knots that it doesn't belong in, but we haven't received really good direction on how to combat it. We've been told ad nauseum, don't be contentious. In our scriptures, it says the spirit of contention is of the devil. And if we know the spirit of contention is of the devil, not contention itself, but the spirit thereof, people would rather err on the side of caution and not be contentious, which I get. That's a natural consequence of trying to be like, the God you read about in the scriptures and so on and so forth. But like, we haven't received a lot of direction the other way. Like, there's lies of commission, but there's also lies of omission, and both are a lie. But we only teach lessons about lies of commission. So we're not really good at detecting lies of omission. And I feel like culturally, the difference between contention and being, contending for the faith and then also being contentious, we've received a lot of direction on how to not be contentious, how to not be contentious.
Absolutely.
But we haven't received a lot of direction on contending for the faith. We've been told to do it. So we feel guilty if we don't. Did I not step up for my faith? But we also know the second we do, the church isn't going to back us. In fact, they might even throw us under the bus for having said, wait, something as simple as, hold on. No, I don't think that's what Jesus meant here. Can we talk about it? No, you're a bigot. Yeah, we're sorry. He didn't mean to speak up against you, Mr. Proto-Marxist, socialist. So yeah, I welcome your direction. What would you say is advice you found in contending without being contentious?
So, I thought a lot about this. I don't know that I have a great answer to this, but
dude, then what are you here for, dog? You wrote the freaking book, man.
Yeah, no, I know.
You wrote the book. You better have one hell of an answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Speak up. Even if no one else is doing it, speak up. Because we've all sat through those elders quorum lessons, those Sunday school lessons, where somebody says something that is way out in left field, way away from church doctrine. And we sit there and we brush it under because we don't want to say something. That is not, we can still correct an error without being mean about it. Like, we can say what the truth is. And if the person has a problem with it, like, that's on them. I have sat in a Sunday school lesson and I actually said something that when I said it, I fully realized that what I said was not doctrinally accurate. And a sister in the room raised her hand and said, actually, this is what it is. Now, I could have in that moment thought, gosh, this lady is just getting under my skin. But she was right. And I had a chance to kind of reflect on that and go, you know what? I said that wrong. She's right. This is actually what the doctrine is. And it wasn't because I was trying to advocate anything. It was just because I said something, because I often speak before thinking sometimes. And then it was fine. I wasn't offended. She wasn't offended. We moved on. But if you don't say something, you're literally just ceding ground to everybody. So say something. Talk to your priesthood leaders. Talk to your elders quorum president. Talk to your bishop. Talk to your stake president. Explain what is going on. Explain where you're coming from. And be versed enough in the scriptures to know not when to back down from the truth.
So are you that guy that goes and complains to the bishop when the Heartlander gets up and says he thinks that the mound builders were the Nephites?
All the time.
No,
get that out of here.
Are you that guy that says, hey, I know who drew in crown on the wall in the nursery?
That's right.
I'm speaking up. I ain't letting this vandalism happen. No,
I will complain about everything.
Dude,
no,
that's funny.
No,
okay.
legitimate concerns over doctrine or ideologies that are creeping into the church. It is okay to speak up and to not be afraid, because guaranteed 90% of the ward is feeling the same thing, but they're not going to say anything. And even if you ask them, they probably wouldn't say anything because they don't want to be labeled as un-Christ-like.
Okay, they don't because you say they don't want to be labeled as un-Christ-like. But at the same time, come on, let's get real here. I think it's
or
just
niceness.
I just think it's our wealth.
And
I think
our
wealth in North America has just created just generation after generation after generation of people that haven't had to worry about war on their own soil, factional violence in their home territory, any kind of real problems outside of, the basic human issues, because God in his infinite mercy preserves no one from some kind of tragedy, right? But really, you can't look at North America and not see some of the greatest, most widespread wealth in human history post-war, and not see that, wow, really, like, we're no longer fighting mobs. The proclamation of Brigham Young is coming true right in front of our eyes. He says these people will be tested with wealth. And in our wealth, we adopted a niceness culture in which the nicest person wins, regardless of whether he speaks truth, whether he speaks falsity, whether he's apostate, whether he's faithful.
Because it's pleasing to the ears. Is that what it is?
Oh, you went scriptural on me, bro. Yeah.
I mean, that's what Korihor said. Korihor said he had been deceived because it was pleasing to the ears.
Okay, cool. So okay. Your first bit of advice is to speak up. What else?
Stand up, speak up. Don't be afraid. That's what I'm really trying to get through to people is we cannot be afraid of what the world is going to do to us or what the devil is going to try to do to us. Like, we can't cede ground because there is no neutral ground here. We're either retreating or we're moving forward on the gospel path.
Okay, so do you think the church in North America is retreating or moving forward? Like, you did write the book. Like, what was the impetus for writing this book?
I've seen way too many people walk away from the church because I don't think that in some ways we are contending and pushing truth. If Jesus Christ is the epitome of compassion, the most compassionate thing we can do is to speak truth to people.
Ooh, say that one again.
Okay, if Jesus Christ is the epitome of compassion, the most compassionate thing we can do is speak truth to people and then not worry about what'll happen. Now, Jordan Peterson, he talked about that. He said, you can't choose the consequences of telling truth, but it's going to take you on a wild ride, and you just have to live with it when you speak truth.
So are you that guy that's saying, come hell or high water, I'm going to tell my wife whether she looks fat in that dress?
I will not say that. Sometimes silence is a virtue.
Okay. Well, how is that not nice?
No. You're right. You got me.
See?
I love you, honey. I would never say that.
Okay. All right. But you're saying at least doctrinally.
Doctrinally. Yeah. We've got truths. And we've got some bold claims in the gospel, and we need to speak them up because the world needs to hear it.
Okay.
Honestly.
What's the number one truth that you see going overlooked right now for fear of violating niceness culture, for fear of being perceived as contentious?
That's a good question. I would think that.
That's all we got here in the Ward Radio Wigwam, bro.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of counterfeits today, and that is actually one of the chapters I talk about. But,
rock on. Okay.
And we can talk about that later.
No, we'll dive in right now. We'll recover it when we go into that. What?
Just there's a lot of counterfeits to, for instance, Christlike love. I would say affirmation is the counterfeit to Christlike love, and we are in a very affirming culture that wants to affirm everything because it's all about your inner feelings. It isn't about objective reality. It's about what you feel, what my truth, my reality. Even if it kills the person we're home teaching, how dare we say they're overeating and going to give themselves diabetes and heart disease? Every patient.
That's not body positivity.
No. And that's the thing. Like, as a respiratory therapist, I deal with patients who have chronic lung disease that smoke. If
what do you know?
My job is to literally tell them not to do that. And if I didn't tell them the truth of what it was doing to their bodies, what good would I be? So what good are we to the body of Christ if we cannot speak the truth of something that could be harming somebody, an ideology that could be harming somebody? I am not afraid to disabuse somebody of a harmful ideology that is damaging them or their family.
Okay. So what has worked for you? It seems like you've been navigating those waters a little bit better than the average bear. What has worked?
I don't know that I'm navigating it any better than anyone else. It's a constant struggle. What I've learned specifically, and this is for me, is that I won't say anything that I don't believe. There's a lot of things that I believe that I won't say, but I will never say anything that I don't believe. And I believe that the church has given us eternal truths that we need to live by. And I will speak those truths. And if I see a violation of those truths occurring, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say something, regardless if anybody is with me or not.
Wow, that's bold, my man. That's bold. I dig it. Okay, so then what would like any advice you have for somebody like okay? Obviously, your book's going out to a generally English-speaking audience. Yeah. Are you going to get picked up by Deseret Book or anything like that? Is this going to be
they're hoping at some point, but
okay, cool, rock on. So we know it's going out to predominantly, I'd say, a Latter-day Saint audience. Yep. And so, it's not like you're having it translated into French just for our fellow members in France who are really struggling with this,
exactly.
right? I don't think the French have the same problem.
I think it's a
right?
uniquely North American problem right at the moment.
Yeah. So what is any unique North American advice for the first average reader that you think, especially youth, that is, because some old people, they're just stuck in their ways. Like it's just like pulling teeth to get them to say, maybe we shouldn't be openly advocating for X from the pulpit just because we're afraid of what the blue-haired feminist might say in the fifth row,
Yeah.
So what would you say to like almost inoculate the younger generation and say, hey, this is coming for you. Our wealth has done this to us. Don't get swept away by it like other people have.
There's a couple things. So you need to know what the doctrine is, which means that you need to do some studying on your own. You need to listen to the prophets. You need to understand what the doctrines of the church are. And if something sounds off to you, then maybe you need to put in a little bit of homework and understand why it sounds off to you. Look it up. Find out why it sounds off to you. Then once you have confirmed it, not only through the scriptures, but through modern day prophets, plant yourself on it and not move.
Okay. And then I guess my last question is, what is like the number one thing? Okay. What's like the number one thing that has really worked when like speaking up and raising your voice against niceness culture, where it's like actually surprised you that, wow, I didn't get canceled, or wow, like there really is. Cause like I say the same thing in the movie industry, dude. Like I really wish every social conservative, cause I'm actually pretty financially liberal. Like I'm a UBI advocate and, a lot of other stuff like that. A lot of people say like, I'm socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. And it's like the average American's actually the other way around.
Opposite way around.
Yeah, they're socially conservative and then fiscally. So I'm actually pretty socially conservative for anything below 21 to 25. You know what I'm saying? I think that 21 is the new 18.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think for young people, I'm very socially conservative, but for older people, I'm practically laissez-faire. And then fiscally, I'm actually quite a liberal person. And so is the average active member of the church. Like the fact that you donate 10%
Absolutely.
of your income to a church, just trusting that it's going to do, you know what I'm saying? Going to do what it says with it is actually a wildly liberal thing in my mind.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, I wish sometimes when you're here down in Hollywood, it's interesting. Everybody thinks, oh, Hollywood's so super liberal. Bro, when you're on set and I don't know, you're gripping or you're gaffing a production, or, you're even just helping as a production assistant, or you're just, an assistant producer, associate producer or whatever. You want to make friends with 50% of the dudes there on set that are working, whether it's a teamster in the truck, whether it's an editor in the editing bay, or whether it's a gripper, a gaffer making sure that the actor looks great. Just say, hey, dude, some of us are going out shooting this weekend. You want to come with us? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, dude, they all love it, right?
Yep.
And what's so funny, sometimes I wish on set, everybody's afraid of being outed as like the Second Amendment enthusiast on set, because that's not cool, I sometimes wish just like there would be some kind of forced vote, like just at any given time, like somebody could just walk in and be like, okay, everybody who's pro Second Amendment, raise your hand. And then all of these guys would realize 75% of the people in the room are raising their hands right now. Hollywood's not this liberal Hollyweird that you think it is. It's actually an industry that functions like every other industry. And there's plenty of people that think just like you, that are wholly rational and normal. Okay.
So you're saying you're not alone.
You're not alone.
And that is a big message to people. You're not alone. If you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it.
Okay. Well, so that's the thing is what has been the best thing that has made it so people realize you're not alone and you can do this. And because like something I like about now that Ward Radio's in its, third, fourth, fifth year, whatever we're in right now, there's been a lot of other podcasts that have since started, and I've seen their content. And they credit, me, Brad, Kwaku, Midnight Mormons, so on and so forth, with having kind of helped inspire them to speak up and raise their voice. And though it's a small channel, and though it's actually some of them even gotten bigger in terms of subscribers than us since then. You know what I'm saying? But they credit us with, these guys, like Jacob Hansen says, watching Kwaku debate Aaron Shafaloff is what made me decide, okay, I can go debate the Apologia guys. And then after Donkey Kong stomping the Apologia guys in their own backyard, now he's on Jubilee in front of millions of people, arguing with Alex O'Connor, not arguing, but debating with Alex O'Connor in, on the world stage. And so he credits us for having spoken up many years ago and kind of inspiring him, right? Which, great, awesome. I love that. That's one of the best compliments that a podcaster / radio host can hear, is that you inspired me to lift my own voice, start my own podcast, start my own, like, we love this. The more voices, the merrier, right? So that's in the podcasting world. In the defending the faith and contending for the faith without being contentious, what's like the number one thing that maybe people have been able to rally around? Like what's something that works so people don't feel alone? Like, just speak up. I guess I'm just, okay. It's such a good generality. I'm just not getting it into practical terms,
One way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna ask questions. I need to find out from other people how they feel, and that is not breeding contention in a ward setting, in a stake setting. I actually have to talk to people about it to find out, is this something that is just a me thing? Or are other people feeling this? So I'm going to ask questions. And if something comes up in a lesson or a sacrament meeting or whatever, I want to ask the person what they meant by that. Because I guarantee sometimes, just like my flub in Sunday school, maybe it was said the wrong way. Maybe that wasn't their intention. And asking questions to find out what are you trying to advocate for something, or was this a sincere flub on your part in an attempt to do whatever? And then if I have to say something, I use something similar to what I would use at work with my employees or with my kids. I will probably sandwich what I'm going to say in, I might say, I recognize what you're saying. Here's what I'm hearing back from you. This is where I think you're wrong, but I appreciate that you said what you said. And you can still give the truth out there, recognizing the person that, whatever that they're saying, sandwich that a little bit. It does soften the blow a little bit. And if you ask questions, people will tell you where they're coming from most of the time.
All right. Awesome. So this has been stellar and killer of advice thus far. For those of you that are listening on the radio, please check us out at wardradio.com for additional bonus materials with author Jeff Borders here. The name of the book is The Antichrist Playbook, a guide for young saints to avoid deception and defeat the devil. I love that, deception and defeat the devil. It's a superb alliteration.
And that's why we did it there.
That's why we did it. Yeah. You can check it out at plainandpreciouspublishing.com. And as always, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked our content, please make sure you smash that like button, that you subscribe to our channel, and that you remember to share this with your friends. Also, as we said previously in the video, the first 4 people that order a hoodie from the wardradio.com merch store are going to get a copy of the Antichrist Playbook in that same package. And make sure that you guys check out plainandpreciouspublishing.com to get your advance copy of the book. Ward Radio listeners are the only listeners that get to pre-order copies of the Antichrist Playbook. So make sure you head there to check out not just the book, but tickets for their event on March 7th at 7 p.m. in Orem, Utah. If you buy a ticket, you also get a shirt as well as a copy of the book and a chance to meet Hayden and Jackson and Jeff himself, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a lot of fun. So either way, make sure you go to wardradio.com, get a hoodie so you can get a copy of the book as well as a ticket. If by the way, don't be buying the hoodie to get out of going to the event, all right? I don't need beef with Hayden and Jackson over this, okay? But anyway, make sure that you guys check out plainandpreciouspublishing.com to buy a purchase of your book. And if you like it, consider it as a birthday gift or any other kind of gift for your 14 to 16-year-old nieces, nephews, grandkids, friends, family, so on and so forth. It's a great gift idea for them. Either way, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.